Welcome to the new year, everybody, 2017. Hope it's a great year for everyone. And for this first Real Talk video for the new year, I definitely don't want to do anything about resolutions or any of that typical stuff. I want to focus on a topic that came up in a conversation with a friend, and that's basically about leeches. And that's the term I prefer to use because we're talking about people that will just bleed you dry if you allow them to do so. So I've dealt with this a lot personally because I'm a very kind person. And of course, there are people that see kindness for weakness and they will try to take advantage of that and just use you. So I've had people try to use me in the past before. And, I definitely think there are ways to separate people that really need your help and then people that are just taking advantage of you. So we all need help sometimes. That's definitely understandable. You can't always assume because somebody asks you for something that they're trying to get over on you, but there are definitely signs. So something that comes to my mind right away when I think about this topic is I had an ex that was really looking to find a good friend to hang out with, and she did manage to get to know this woman, and they became friendly, and they hung out a couple of times. They would talk on the phone and everything, but in no time, this woman asked her to borrow money. And I told her, I was like, that's a bad sign because, this woman, she has friends, she has family, she lived in the same area. So I think if somebody asks you for something and they barely know you, they're just getting to know you, they're probably trying to feel you out. Because again, like I said, if they already have family and friends, why would they ask somebody they're just getting to know for money, money especially. So I think that's definitely a bad sign. If somebody barely knows you and they ask you for something, then no, I would say no to that. And then also you have these people that will ask to borrow something from you. They might, and again, I'm going to use money as an example. You have some people that will ask to borrow money. As soon as they pay you back, they turn around and they ask to borrow it again. I tell you, go and stop that cycle right there because that's exactly what it is. It will be a cycle. If somebody borrows money, they pay it back and then turn right around and ask again, they plan on doing that again and again. So basically, you never really have that money back. And they may even ask for, let's say that you lent them $5, they pay the $5 back. Next time it might be $10. Next time after that it might be $20, and they'll just keep pressing it to see how much they can get from you. And in the long run, you're going to lose out. So yeah, that's something else that you have to watch for as well. And even though I said we all need help sometimes, nobody should need your help every other day, like once or twice a week. It's just ridiculous. That's obviously a problem. And it could be not just money. I don't want to keep using that just as an example, but even let's say if somebody wants a ride somewhere, some people will run your gas tank down if they can. They'll have you running all day. And there's been times when with family, I can let them do that sometimes because that's family. And especially if I have the time to spare, I might give up a day of my free time to run my family members around where they need to go. I've done that plenty of times before, but that's family. When it comes to people outside my family, unless we're really tight like that, I'm not going to do that, especially when you'll have some people that act like they're compensating you when they're really not. If you run somebody around all day and they give you like $5 or less on gas, that's an insult. That might as well be a slap in the face. That's a joke. So yeah, like I said, some people will try to act like they're compensating you when they're really not. Especially if they offer things to you that you don't really want to begin with. So yeah, that's something else some people will do. They'll pass things along to you that they don't like and they act like we're even. You're not really even though. So and there's nothing wrong with that. I know sometimes, especially me being a collector, that's one thing that I do. I know that collectors, we sometimes pass along things to each other that we're not interested in, but I feel like that you can kind of consider that like extras. I wouldn't consider that making something even if it's something that the person hasn't really expressed any interest in. So I will say that just from my own personal experience, I've learned to kind of be nice but be sensible at the same time, because another warning sign that I've noticed is that, and this really hits close to home, going way back at even coming up as a child. Something that I've had happen to me is that I'll have people sometimes try to make me feel like I'm selfish, or you may have people that'll call you selfish sometimes. What it is though, it's not that you're being selfish, it's that they might see you getting things for yourself instead of getting things for them. And they can't stand that. So you'll have people that'll try to make you feel guilty. Again, like me being a collector, and I think a lot of collectors have probably dealt with this at some point. You have somebody that will criticize you for, supposedly wasting your money, but really what it is that they feel like it's money that's not going to them. So that's definitely something else that you just have to block out and ignore it, because people will try to make you feel guilty. They'll try to make you feel selfish, even though they're really the selfish ones. It's like, it's just almost like what I refer to as a preemptive strike. They're going to call you selfish before you can realize that they're selfish. So if you say that they're selfish, they just act like you're just saying that just because they said it. I hope you all followed that. Yeah, I use the word selfish a lot. I hope you all followed that though. But yeah, like I said, 9 times out of 10 to me, people calling other people selfish is just that they feel like you're not taking care of them. So you kind of got to block that out. And I do want to say as well, there's a really good documentary. I'm not sure if it's still on Netflix or not, but if it is, definitely check it out. Even if you're not into professional sports, and there's very few professional sports that I care about. I pretty much follow mixed martial arts, and that's about it. But there's this brief documentary, I think it's less than an hour, called Broke. And it talks about how so many professional athletes end up broke. I think it's over 60% of professional athletes that eventually end up broke. And it got into the reasons why. And some of the reasons are pretty obvious, like, just blowing money on stuff that's not needed. Just fancy cars and expensive suits and all these things, and jewelry. So some of it is frivolous spending. Some of it is bad investments. Part of it is not planning for the off season, because professional athletes don't get paid in the off season. But the main reason why so many professional athletes go broke is because they have so many people trying to feed off of them. Leeches, like I said. So that's what really brings down a lot of these athletes. And one of the athletes, and still, please watch that documentary if you can, because it's so good. It's so well made. But one of the athletes did say that, he realized once he signed a contract, all of a sudden it seemed like everybody around him was helpless and they couldn't get by without him. And I so don't respect that. I don't respect that at all, because any person should be able to stand on their own too. Now, we all need help at times, but it should be brief. Okay, let me be clear about that. It should be brief. So, yeah, anybody acting like they suddenly cannot get by without you, they are obviously just trying to lean on you and use you. So you really got to watch for that. And it's a shame that so many of these athletes, they were giving people. They tried to help out their family. There were guys that were paying multiple mortgages, on houses that they hardly ever stepped foot in. People paying for like multiple car notes and things, and paying people's bills like every month. And they're so giving, they're so caring, and they just end up dragging themselves down because of that. And then when that well runs dry, all of a sudden these people that needed them so much can't stand them, don't care about them, won't even help them out in return. It's really disgusting, but that's how leeches are. That's why I feel like that's the term that fits. The actual creature of the leech is just, it's kind of a disgusting looking creature. Fascinating in some ways, but kind of disgusting at the same time. And people that are leeches, it definitely fits. So, yeah, you can't let anybody drag you down. You got to take care of yourself. It's not selfish to take care of yourself. And like I said, nobody should ever put themselves in a situation where they just can't get by without anybody else. Again, I know it happens sometimes. Sometimes you don't have control over it, especially if you're living check to check and you lose your job. You might have that short period of time where you do need the help. I've been there before. But it shouldn't be a constant, ongoing thing. And I know something else, and I'm sorry to drag this on, but some other things I want to express, though, things that I've seen is, in my area, I used to hate going to convenience stores at night. It's not as bad now as it used to be, and I think that's partly because a lot of the local stores have changed ownership, so they don't stay open as late, and they're kind of more strict about their policies and everything. But I used to hate to go to the stores because I could never go to a store without running into some person outside the store asking for change, and and I've even been propositioned before, which is horrible and just disgusting. Again, it's terrible. But you have a lot of people they're hooked on drugs or they're alcoholics, whatever it may be, and they give you all these sob stories. I'm trying to get bus fare to go wherever. It's funny. I used to see that in movies and think it was ridiculous, and then I actually started hearing stuff like that in real life. It's crazy. And some people even coming to you with a whole spiel. I had a guy approach me one time. He's like, grown man now, approach me and say, I know it's not, a prideful thing to do to come beg another man he doesn't know for money, but I really need, a couple of dollars. And I'm just like, if you know that it's not a prideful thing, then why do it at all? Don't try to sucker me with that speech. So yeah, I just cannot stand that type of thing. And substance abuse definitely will play a role in people being leeches and eventually becoming thieves and worse. Yeah, I mean, and there was another example I want to give, but okay, this is probably a sensitive subject, but I'm going to address it. Yes, there are people that leech off of the government as well. Now, government assistance, I'm not completely against it because I feel like in a lot of ways the government does owe some people because, America, the land of the free, is not as free as it should be, in my opinion. I think there's a lot of things in this country that still need to improve. But generation after generation after generation on government assistance, something's not right there. Government assistance is about helping you to get on your feet. So when you have generation after generation after generation on government assistance, something's not right there. When you see people that are on government assistance and yet they have flashy jewelry and nice cars and all this stuff, obviously something's not right there. And what's really sad is to hear young people sometimes that already have it in their mind that when I get older, I'm going to be on government assistance. Why would somebody plan that when they're young? That's just sad to me. So, yeah, leeching off of the government is just, it's no better than somebody leeching off of a friend, a supposed friend, because honestly, and this is something you got to realize as well, and I'll leave you with this thought. Anybody who's trying to leech off of you, they don't really care about you. If somebody sees that you're down to your last dollar and they still want 75 cents, that's just not somebody that cares about you. I don't care if it's a family member, somebody that knows that you're struggling to get by and yet they still want whatever little bit they can get from you. They don't really care about you. That's really all there is to it. And separate yourself if you have to. And I say that a lot, and some people don't like that, but I'll tell you why people don't like that idea of separating yourselves from other people. It's because then they can't take advantage of you. So forget that nonsense about that being cold or whatever, people want to say. If you got to separate yourselves from people, do it. That's a right that you have as an adult. So, yeah, I think I've spoken enough on that subject. Definitely, as always, I want to hear your feedback. Let me know if you've dealt with that type of experience, how you deal with it, whatever you want to share. I definitely look forward to checking it out in the comments. And yeah, please stay tuned to this channel. I'm going to try to be very consistent with the content, with these real talk videos, relationship videos, poetry. I want to keep that coming, and I really need the support. So thank you for taking the time to check out this video, and I'll talk to you again real soon.